Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool are taking on Leicester City at the King Power Stadium on Monday, and I think it's safe to say that, given the events of this evening, our outlook on the match has changed just a little bit. So obviously the big news today, which broke just a couple of minutes before I started recording this actually, is that Leicester have sacked their manager Claudio Ranieri. If you ask me, I'm a little bit surprised because I didn't really see it coming. I think it's slightly disrespectful towards him after what happened last season. Obviously, as the managing board of a football club, you do have to be pragmatic, you do have to think forward rather than back, and results weren't going Leicester's way, but I don't really think it was all Ranieri's fault, you know. There were problems obviously with the players, none of them are hitting the form that they had last season. I think his system has been found out a little bit. Maybe he's not tactically versatile enough and he hasn't really responded well to teams discovering how Leicester play, and he hasn't really got a plan B. But there are other problems at the club, like letting go of N'Golo Kante in the summer was obviously a pretty poor move. They should never really have done that because it's worked out so well for Chelsea. They're obviously top of the league, and Leicester are so much worse without N'Golo Kante. What this does for Liverpool, I'm unsure as to whether Leicester will have a caretaker manager or a new manager altogether for the game on Monday, simply because normally, at such short notice, there's something like 4 days until the match. That's not really enough time to find a new manager. Obviously, Leicester haven't actually confirmed yet whether they're going to put a caretaker manager in for now or get a new one straight away. But it is incredibly short notice, and normally you'd have a caretaker manager if it's only 4 days until a game. But with the sort of strange timing of the sacking after the game Leicester played against Sevilla, where they didn't necessarily get a good result, but they did put in a much better performance than they have been in the past this season. They were just looking a lot more committed. There was a lot more fight. They were playing much more like a unit and a team, and they were playing for each other rather than just for themselves. So it seemed strange just 24 hours after that to sack the manager. So that suggests that maybe, you know, this was planned earlier on, and regardless of the result against Sevilla, Ranieri would have been sacked, which means that maybe, you know, Leicester do have a plan and they do have an idea of who they want to bring in as the manager. And the reason it's been so strangely timed is because the manager that they want to replace Ranieri with has now just become available. And if that does happen, then I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be in the dugout for the game against Liverpool. But for now, it's a bit up in the air. It's a little bit ambiguous. As for Liverpool, things have been a little bit quieter. Obviously, they haven't played a game since they destroyed Spurs, having been knocked out of the FA Cup and not being in Europe this season. So I think that'll benefit them a little bit. They've had a lot more rest time than Leicester, and obviously they did go on their sort of mini pre-season during the middle of the season training camp to Manga, and it's quite exciting to see what that's done for the squad, really, because we don't know what Klopp was up to there, and it'll be interesting to see whether that's changed the way that Liverpool will play, whether we'll go back to how we were playing earlier on in the season, or whether we'll have a sort of a different system, we'll play in a different style and be looking to get wins in different ways. Personally, I hope that it's sort of helped things like our game management, because our playing style's been good this season. You know, when we're on it, we are on it, and we play incredibly well and we do get results, but game management has been a problem, and it's one of the things that I would have liked to have seen Jurgen Klopp address if he has had this time with the squad that he has to sit back, calm down, and just address everything with enough time to do it carefully and sensibly. So given what's been going on at both clubs in the last few days, I'm fairly confident for this game. So here are my 3 reasons why Liverpool will beat Leicester City on Monday. So first of all, I think that time at the training camp, coupled with the amount of time that there has been since Liverpool's key players have returned from injury, or with Mane returning from AFCON, I think we will start to see a return to the Liverpool that we had earlier on in the season. We did see that as well against Spurs. I think part of that was down to a poor Tottenham performance and the fact that tactically they did very much play into Liverpool's hands, playing a high line, which I personally can't imagine Leicester can do. I imagine they're going to take more of a park the bus approach, and it'll be down to Liverpool to break down that Leicester defence. But Coutinho's been back for a while from his injury now. He was a little bit rusty when he came back. Matip's been back for a few games now. He hasn't really convinced since he came back, but hopefully with the amount of time since his injury, and also the fact that he's had this training camp at Manga, hopefully he will be back to his best from earlier on in the season. And I think it's safe to say that Sadio Mane is back to his best as well, because he had such a good game against Spurs. You know, the 2 goals didn't really do him justice. He could have got more. He should have probably got some assists as well. He generally put in a brilliant all-round performance, so hopefully he'll carry on with that in this game against Leicester. And secondly, of course, the turmoil at Leicester should hopefully have a negative effect on them, because it's never a good time to sack a manager at this point in the season. And in mine and George's Premier League season review so far video, which I put out, I think it was on Tuesday, you can check that out, the link will be down in the description. I didn't actually tip Leicester for relegation, whereas George did, because I think that they can put in a late season surge and they can pull themselves away from that relegation fight. But this is such a poor time to sack a manager. You know, you rarely see a team let their manager go around February time and actually get out of it. Even Newcastle, who let their manager go so late in the season and brought in a quality manager in Rafa Benitez, who is now doing good things there, simply didn't have the time to get the squad together. And unless they bring in a real, you know, relegation fight expert like Sam Allardyce, who certainly seems to have lost his touch now he's at Crystal Palace, then they really are doomed, if you ask me now, and I can't really see a way out for them. So hopefully, from a Liverpool fan's perspective for this game, that will have a negative effect on them and it should help us get the win. And finally, bit more of a tactical reason, I don't really think Leicester are as defensively effective as they were last season and the teams that beat Liverpool have been this season, because when teams beat Liverpool, they tend to park the bus, they play a lot of players at the back, you know, they pack the box, and this is the kind of tactic that Leicester employed last season when they were counter-attacking, and that's how they got a lot of their goals, and they were an incredibly stoic defensive unit. They aren't that this season, and if they park the bus against Liverpool for 90 minutes, I can sort of see Liverpool getting a breakthrough, because at the moment, I don't think they have the quality or the belief in themselves to keep Liverpool's players shut out, especially if players like Sadio Mane or Felipe Coutinho are on form. So that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new around here, and follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. Bye for now.